Hello everyone, this is Silver de la Rosa and welcome to my channel, On Silver Screen, where learning is interesting. To continue with our discussion about the introduction to quantity surveying, this season we are going to talk about quantification and costing of construction works. And this episode is all about the basic essentials needed in order for you to carry out quantification and costing. So the topics for this episode will be the requirements for quantification and costing, quantification, and we will discuss about the standard method of measurement. We will also talk about costing of construction works and discuss topics like cost estimate, definition of terms that are often used but often misused, stages of a project, and the types of cost estimate that you can carry out within these stages. Now, let's start off what is needed in order for you to carry out quantification. First, you must have the understanding of construction drawings. You must have the knowledge on how to read and interpret construction drawings. Next is the ability to take measurement either manually or electronically. And also, you must have the familiarity of the materials used in construction and the knowledge of standard method of measurement. While for costing, you need to have the knowledge of how to interpret specifications and understand the market prices and also the source of your pricing data. You must know when the data was being collected and the purpose of this data collection. You must also understand your cost drivers. What are the factors contributing to your cost, like your project location, inflation, and so on. You must also have the knowledge of cost estimating techniques at various stages of the project. So for quantification of works, why do we need to quantify the works, or what is quantification of works? Quantification is defined as a process of converting drawn information into descriptions and quantities. So take note, it's not only about quantities, but also descriptions. By means of automated or manual measurement, counting, or approximation in accordance with a set of rules. And another thing to note is that there is a set of rules that you need to follow or you need to observe when you carry out quantification. And why quantification is important? Because the accuracy of quantities derived from quantification process and the precise description of the quantified items will affect the price of the works. It is therefore important that careful attention to details should be exercised during quantification process. And what is the purpose of quantification? Why you need to carry it out? During the pre-contract, the result of quantification process can be used for feasibility study. Also, it can be used for determining the budget. And the data derived from quantification process will be transferred into a bill of quantities that will be used for tendering. While after the contract was signed or the post-contract period, quantification can be used to assess the likely outturn cost of the works. And it also can be used for cost control and cost management. So these are some of the uses of quantification. Now let's talk about the standard method of measurement, or SMM. We often hear about SMM, and let's talk about what is this all about. So SMM is a document with a set of measurement rules. So previously in quantification, we are talking about set of rules. So this SMM is the set of rules and principles that can be applied in determining the quantity of the works, trades, or tasks in a construction project. It details the inclusions and even the exclusions of the measured quantity and further provide guidance to the method and unit of measurement to be used. So it's not only how to quantify, but also the description of what are to be quantified and the unit of measure that should be used for quantification. So that is what SMM is telling us. Now, Why is SMM important? Because SMM will dictate the structure of your bill of quantities or BOQ that will be used in tendering process to determine the price of works, trade, or task. And also, SMM promotes transparency as it provides a clear understanding of what is expected from and be provided by the involved parties. Now, there are a lot of SMM being published. The question is which one to use. A quantity surveyor must have the knowledge of and the ability to interpret different standard methods of measurements used in the industry, as different territory may rely on different set of SMM. So there are different SMM for different functions and also used in different territories. So how to determine which one to use? So first, you have to understand the purpose of the SMM and its compatibility to your requirement. So for example, if your project are roads and bridges, so the new rules of measurement may not be fully applicable to your project. Instead, you may take a look at the Principles of Measurement International or the CESMM published by the Institute of Civil Engineers. And if there is already a contract in place, you can also check the contract requirement because sometimes contract already specified which type of SMM to be used. Now let's go to costing of construction works. The costing of construction works is defined as the application of cost estimating techniques determined to approximate the amount of money needed in order to complete the project. So the level of cost estimate varies widely on the amount of information available. Therefore, as a quantity surveyor, it is important that you must be able to fully utilize the available information and identify the appropriate cost estimating techniques at a particular stage. Now we are talking about cost estimate. It is also important to understand what a cost estimate is. And a cost estimate is defined as the process of forecasting the cost and other resources needed to complete the project within a defined scope. So a cost estimate does not only show the total amount of money, but also details the basis of estimate. It describes the assumptions, the inclusions, as well as the exclusions, and other information necessary to interpret the accuracy of the estimated cost. So when you carry out quantity estimate or cost estimate, it's not only about the quantity, the unit rate, and the cost. So you must have other details in order to properly interpret what the cost is all about, what are included and what are excluded. So next, let's define some terms. Again, as I said, these terms are common, often used, but sometimes also misused. First is price. Price is defined as the amount of money paid for goods and services. So let's take, for example, if your project is supply and installation of reinforcing steel bars. So if you are the contractor, the price is the payment made for steel bars and accessories to the manufacturer. So it is what you paid in order to purchase these materials. Next is the cost. Cost is defined as the total amount of input or resources expended to produce a product or complete a deliverable. Now we are not talking only about price, we are talking about input, resources. So let's take again, for example, our supply and installation of reinforcing steel bars. So the cost will be composed of the payment you have made to the manufacturer or the price. And on top of that, you may be paying for the shipping, the taxes, maybe hauling charges, and storage, and so on. So all these costs will add up to your material cost. Since your item of work or your deliverable includes installation, you also have to spend for the labor. And the labor cost may include the worker's salary, the taxes or the levy that you paid for your worker, their accommodation, allowances, and so on. So this will compose of your labor cost. And these costs are also called as your direct cost, or the cost that can be readily attributed to a particular item of work. Now, if you're the contractor, your cost doesn't end here, because in order for you to complete the works, you also need to spend some amount of money for the indirect cost, or these are the costs that are, or that cannot be attributed to a single item of work or single deliverable, but are needed in order for you to complete the project. So this indirect cost may include your preliminaries, attendance, overhead, and any other cost that you cannot attribute to a single deliverable. Next is value. Value is defined as the payment of the completed deliverable. So this is what you are getting paid. So, and this value for you as a contractor will be composed of your direct cost plus indirect cost, including your profit. So this is the amount that you submitted during the tender, and when the tender is accepted and awarded to you, it will become your contract price. So that is the value of your works. So again, to recap, price will be defined as what you pay. Cost is what you spend. And value is what you get. So please do not interchange or mixed use these terms, because each term has a different meaning. Now let's talk about the various stages of the project and the costing at various stages. First, we will talk about the stage, and then the available information during that particular stage, what type of cost estimate that you can come up, and the cost estimating techniques that you can apply. And also, we are going to talk about how to use the outputs of these cost estimating techniques or procedures. First stage would be the inception. So during this stage, your information can only be a brief description of the proposed project. You may have some sketches or nothing at all, or just an idea from the client about the project. And even though you have a minimal information about the project, you can already prepare an estimate. And that estimate is called a concept estimate or order of magnitude. And the techniques being used to carry out concept estimate or order of magnitude estimate are the analogous, or also known as the top-down estimate, or parametric estimating. And the results of these cost estimating techniques and procedure can be used for feasibility study and strategic decisions. So strategic decisions mean it's either to proceed or not to proceed with the project, either to increase the scale or decrease the scale of the project, depending on the budget available. The next stage would be the pre-contract. So pre-contract stage are the stages before the contract is signed. So depending on your procurement route, the available information can range from the schematic drawings, detailed drawings, or even specification. And since you have a little bit more information during this period, you can carry out what we call a schematic estimate or detailed estimate or preliminary estimate. And the techniques that can be used for this type of estimates can be either bottom-up or elemental estimate, and also vendor bid analysis. Now, the output for this estimating technique, or the type of estimate that you have just carried out, can be used for determining the budget, can also be used for cost planning, procurement and tendering, or even risk analysis. So the next stage will be the post-contract or construction stage. And during this stage, you can have a more detailed information like the detailed drawings and the specifications. And the type of cost estimate during this stage are the detailed estimate or definitive estimate. And the techniques can be bottom-up or elemental cost estimating techniques that you can apply. And during this stage, the output can be used for cost control or cost management, cost reporting, and even final account. So for a developer, sometimes the project, depending on the project brief, sometimes the operation can also be included in the project itself. So during this time, since the construction was already completed, you can already have the as-built information. And the type of cost estimate that can be used will be detailed and definitive. And you can also apply bottom-up and elemental cost estimating techniques. And the outputs for this endeavor can be used for the operation and maintenance and life cycle costing. So for life cycle costing, it will consider all the costs being attributed to the project, from inception all the way to the end of the life cycle of the project. So the construction or the development cost is only a tip of the iceberg when it comes to life cycle costing. So now let's discuss about the types of cost estimates. So the concept cost estimate, or the cost estimate based on the first phase of the design process. So the first phase of the design process is called a conceptual design. And it is a phase wherein ideas are being tested and relationship of space and layouts are being explored. So nothing final yet. All you can see are just probably sketches and test where the particular amenities can be developed or can be erected. So the next type of estimate is schematic or cost estimate. And these are based on the second phase of the design process. So the second phase of the design process is also called a schematic design. So during this phase, you can already begin to see the shape and spatial relationship of the project. And the available information can be ranged from initial plans and sketches, conceptual site plans, maybe preliminary building plans, sections, and elevations. And the next type of cost estimate is called a detailed cost estimate. So this is a cost estimate based on a detailed information available that may include the approved plans, sections, elevations, design details, and the specification. So you can already have a complete set of plans and details during this stage. On some territories, they are not using the term concept cost estimate or schematic cost estimate or detailed cost estimate. So what can you hear is that there are rough order of magnitude or the ROM. So ROM is also known as the ballpark estimate. This is developed during the feasibility or concept phase. And the project definition level from will be ranging from 0 to around 15%. 0 in a sense that during this stage, you may have nothing at hand, not even a sketch, but only an idea from the client. And the difference of this cost estimate can be as high as 100%, where the variance can be from minus 50% to plus 50%, or minus 25% to plus 75%, depending on the source of your cost data. So the next is preliminary cost estimate. So this is developed during the time where you have a substantial project information. And information such as quantities may already be available or can be produced. So during this time, the project definition level can be ranged from 10% to around 70%. And since you already have a substantial information, the variance can range from minus 10% all the way to plus 50%. So the next is definitive cost estimate. So this is the time where there are more reliable information available, such as the cost of material, the quotations, or tender returns from your tenderer. So it's not only the quantity, but you already have the cost at hand. And during this time, the project definition level can be from 50% all the way to 100% or a fully detailed project. And the variance for definitive cost estimate can range from -5% to plus 10%. So if you have enjoyed this presentation, join me next on Silver Screen, wherein we are going to discuss about cost estimating techniques. It will be our episode 2. So if you like the video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. You can also turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified as soon as the new video is uploaded. Thank you very much and see you on the next episode.